Flight 229, you're clear for takeoff.
Just like a flight plan, you have to know where you're going and how you will get there when you plan for retirement. Let Ryan Fleming help you chart out a course for your retirement with his intimate knowledge of financial planning and the airline industry. It's time for the Pilot's Advisor.
We've got a fun podcast for you today. Walter Storholt here alongside Ryan Fleming of the Pilot's Advisor, helping you learn a little bit more about the financial landscape, retirement, and not just the financial side too, but sometimes the emotional and just sort of the other logistics that come along with retirement. That's going to kind of be where we take the conversation today. If you're new to the show, Ryan is a financial advisor and a pilot, but a financial advisor at Fleming Financial Group, serving clients literally worldwide, but based out of Georgia in the United States. And you can find us online by going to FlemingFG.com. Ryan, I'm looking forward to today's conversation. Should be kind of fun. We're just going to talk about the top places to retire. This is a list at the end of 2020 that they put out, the top 15 places to retire. This was the U.S. News and World Report. And so we can kind of review and see who made the list this past year. And I'm curious to know if you have folks who maybe live in these locations and where popular retirement destinations happen to be for a lot of your clients. Where do pilots go? Folks who have traveled all over the world, where do they then go when it's time for them to retire? So I think this should be pretty fun. How are you, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you today, Walter?
Doing great. And you ready for the list? Let's go through the list first, and then we'll share some stories. How about that?
Sounds good.
As you can imagine, Florida is kind of all over the list. So this wasn't just by state, but by towns and cities. And by the way, they calculated this, Ryan, on certain metrics like tax rates, housing affordability, healthcare quality, and then that very, very objective metric of happiness of the local residents. I really want to see the formula for happiness and how that gets calculated in certain places. So take that with a grain of salt that this list is based off of, kind of that culmination of metrics. But the first five, we'll go with top five here. Sarasota, Florida, Fort Myers, Florida, Port St. Lucie, Florida, and Naples, Florida. And then we finally have a non-Florida location of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is kind of an interesting thing to crack the top five. Any surprises there to you in the top five other than maybe that Pennsylvania location?
Well, the Pennsylvania location does surprise me, but one of the things I like to think about this is everybody's different. Everybody has different values and different goals and different wants for retirement. And a lot of it is just knowing what you want and what you like.
Yeah, it's very true. And my grandparents, they did the opposite of the whole Florida routine. They retired to Maine. And that's where they've been for the last 20 years or so. And not just for the summer. They're there most winters, too, although they did eventually start to become snowbirds and head out for at least a couple of months during the winter. The 6 through 10, we got a couple more Floridas in here. Ocala, Florida, Ann Arbor, Michigan. So there's another one that's kind of like the Lancaster, PA, which is an interesting one. Asheville, North Carolina, a little bit more closer to my neck of the woods. Miami, back in Florida, and Melbourne, Florida. So a couple more Floridas there, but Ann Arbor and Asheville, a little bit different mix.
Yeah, and it's funny that I see so many Florida locations on there. And then, of course, you probably know the term halfback. And it's those individuals that move, from up north down to Florida, realize it's a little bit too hot, and they move halfway back, which gets them into North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee.
That's right. That's right.
The halfbacks. So
I actually hadn't heard that before. I like that though. That's pretty cool.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say Asheville and Ann Arbor makes sense because Ann Arbor would be big college town, and I think college towns would certainly have a lot of attractive pieces for retirement. And Asheville's both kind of a little bit of a college town, but also big brewery scene. It's kind of got the mountain vibe. It's kind of a unique little bit of a location there in NC. So that's I can see that one for sure.
That's one of the fastest growing cities right now. I know Charleston is on that list, Charleston, South Carolina, but Asheville for the past, 5 to 7 years, they've have so many people moving there.
Yep, exactly. Rest of the 15, you were spot on with another South Carolina one possibly being in the mix. Myrtle Beach is listed as number 11. Then we have Nashville, which is not surprising to me because I feel like everybody I talk to is moving to Nashville. That place must still be just booming like crazy. and then Jacksonville, Florida, Manchester, New Hampshire, and then those must be the type of folks that are similar in in background and feelings to my grandparents, going up to the cold area of New Hampshire, and then back to Florida lastly for Daytona Beach, Florida, as another retirement location there. What about you? Do you feel like everybody's moving to Nashville these days?
Well, I think Nash Vegas is a good point. If you spend any time in Nashville, I think it's a lot like me with Charleston. You guys know I spent 13 of the past 18 years in Charleston, South Carolina, and it used to be a great city. And I think Nashville used to be a great city, but once the secret's gotten out and it's been publicized as this is a great place to be, so many people moved there that it just changed the whole feel. And Nashville, the traffic is insane now. I mean, I've spent some time there recently. I have some friends that have moved down there or that have lived down there, for the past decade. And that's the big thing, is it's just not the same.
Have you ever wanted to learn more about the academic approach to investing and saving and planning for retirement that Ryan talks about here on The Pilot's Advisor? Well, if so, go visit pilotsadvisor.com. pilotsadvisor.com. You can watch a quick webinar on the academic approach to investing. It'll show you how not to speculate and gamble with your money. It's all based on Nobel Prize winning research. Only takes about 10 minutes to get through the video and watch it. Going to be worth your time, I promise you. Go check it out right now, pilotsadvisor.com. It's a webinar that covers that academic approach to investing. pilotsadvisor.com. All right, back to the show. So let's talk about your clients in particular, Ryan. Do you see a lot of your clients retiring to any of these locations, or is there a particular one that's popular that you kind of have noticed over the years?
Well, a big conversation that many of my clients have when they're trying to figure out where they're going to live or retire is surrounded by those states that have zero income tax. So it's Tennessee, it's Texas, it's Florida. And, I try to have the conversation that, yes, that is important and it is a big deal for, zero income tax. However, you need to be happy. It needs to be a place that you really enjoy versus just chasing income tax. And also, most of these states, when you really start looking at all the, the cost of living, the state income tax, like they're going to get you somehow, whether it's property tax or some other tax. So it's important to do all the research and not just income tax with these states. But you see people, that's their initial thing. Well, I got to move to Florida or Tennessee or Texas or what, that's one of the biggest things I hear.
What about the ones who want to do it for fun? Have you had a good story or two over the years where folks had that dream location and it wasn't just a financial decision, but maybe they needed some help with the financial plan to help make it possible?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think the natural tendency that we've probably all seen is people from up north want to move down south to the warmer weather is a big pull. But one of the more fun ones I like is I've had a couple clients that their dream was to retire and then get a boat and just sail around the world. And,
That's cool.
It's a little bit different logistics, but I'm jealous. I wish I had that adventurous side in me where I would really want to just get on a boat and just go. So, Where do you live? Well, it's where we are now, and
you give your address in longitude and latitude, right?
Yeah. And, I've seen a little bit of this being in the military and moving around. Like nobody likes to move, but that next adventure, it has always, at least for me, turned out to be a pretty good thing. Whereas I never would have taken that step unless I was forced to do it. But having done it, I feel like I got a lot more in life and seeing different things and different perspectives.
Yeah, that's very true, and a good point to consider and think about as well. What financial and emotional considerations are there for folks who want to retire in a different state or region of the country? I mean, what about people who want to live half the year in one place and half the year in another spot? You kind of mentioned a little bit of those folks, but there's different complications or implications of maintaining two properties and then dealing with the tax rules of having to live like more than half the year in one of the locations and keeping track of all those kinds of things. Is that kind of a barrier for a lot of people, or do you help navigate through both sides of that equation? It's
definitely a conversation that comes up, and I don't think it's ever smart to try to trick the IRS. So
we don't condone that here, right?
Yeah, once again, it's a loser's game. And so you don't even want to put yourself in that position. So, live where you want to live and make that your primary residence. There's a lot of extra costs involved in having two different properties, two different houses. I deal with a lot of clients that want to buy a beach house or have like a rental property in a nice area. And, I've owned a lot of real estate along the Panhandle, and people, they just think about the glamour of saying, oh, I got a place in Daytona or I got a place in Destin, without really analyzing all the costs and all the headaches that they might be getting themselves into, versus just going and renting a place. Like, hey, maybe I want to go to someplace different this year, so let me just go rent a place here or there. And, so I try to get them to really think about all the details and not just the sexy of, hey, I got a beach house.
Well, hey there. We hope you're enjoying listening to the Pilot's Advisor today. Just wanted to take a quick moment from the show to remind you that if you have any questions ever about what Ryan talks about on the program, need any assistance with your financial planning, need some guidance to get to and through retirement, or whatever financial questions might be on your mind, don't ever hesitate to reach out. The simple way to get in touch with Ryan is to pick up the phone and call or text 843-475-3038. Again, that's 843-475-3038. You can also find Ryan online at FlemingFG.com. That's FlemingFG.com. And as always, we put contact information to get in touch with Ryan in the description or the show notes section of the program. So just check it out on whatever app you're using, and it's easy to get in touch with Ryan. All right, now back to the show. Let's end this on a fun note. What about you and your family? I realize retirement's still a little bit off for you guys most likely, but do you have a dream retirement location already sort of in mind?
We actually do, and I love the fact that I know where I want to go, and my wife and I and my family know where we want to be. I'll tell you about my dream location, but I want to hear about yours first.
Okay, so ours is certainly not set in stone. Still in our early 30s, we got a little bit more time to get there. So who knows if things will change over the course of history? But we have really fallen in love with a little island on the Gulf side of Florida called Anna Maria Island. And so if I were to pick a place right now. And I hate, the heat, and especially a place with year-round heat. Moving to Florida would be very nerve-wracking for me to miss the seasons and all those kinds of things. But if we could get a little place on the canal on this little island of Anna Maria and have my little boat there at the dock and be able to just live that boat life and hop in and go check out the sunsets and do a little fishing and come back in. And we've done a couple of those kinds of vacations in that area. Whew, I think that would be my spot. That we've had a real blast the couple times that we've been able to travel down there and stay for a week on vacation. So I could see retiring into a situation like that. Although I would love to aim for that goal of maybe doing a half of the year there, half of the year somewhere else, something like that. I mean, there's definitely something attractive to that part of it too.
Yeah, and I love the Gulf. Absolutely. Can you tell me a little bit more exactly where Anna Maria Island is?
Yeah, so it's just south of Tampa. So it's on the southern part of Tampa Bay, west of Bradenton.
Siesta Key area down that like there?
Just north of Siesta Key. So it's on that same trajectory. You just keep heading up those islands. So Siesta and then Longboat, and then eventually you get up to the very tip of that little section that juts up away and toward Tampa. The very tip of that is Anna Maria.
Oh, nice.
But very nice. Very close to Siesta Key. In fact, we boated all the way from where we were down to the Sarasota. We took the bay on the boat on our last vacation there, all the way to the Sarasota Bridge. So we were very close to Siesta Key. It's pretty accessible, just up and down the intercoastal waterway there.
No, it's a beautiful area. I've actually been down there. Obviously not on Anna Maria Island, but that whole area.
That area is just gorgeous. Yeah, we definitely love it. And interesting that Sarasota is listed as number 1 on that list for 2020. So that's kind of funny to see.
Yeah, well, and it's funny how experiences change your feelings on things. I've been lucky enough over the past 20 years to live in the Southeast and live on the ocean for quite a few of those years. Destin, Florida, Charleston, South Carolina, and spent some time over in Daytona, Melbourne area. And I always thought that I got married in Destin on Noriega Point right there by the beautiful Destin Bridge. And I always thought that we'd go back there. That was our dream retirement place. And I think over the years after dealing with saltwater and dodging hurricanes for many, many years, it's funny how our situation has changed. My wife, Carrie, always wanted to live on the ocean. And I said, babe, we might be able to afford a house on the ocean, but we can't afford the insurance. So we kind of argued about that for a few years. And then I finally got her to go to this lake in the upstate of South Carolina called Lake Keowee. which is a beautiful, beautiful lake. If you have, well, actually, don't tell anybody because I don't want anybody else moving there.
The same thing with Anna Maria. Don't go there. It's terrible. It's a terrible place.
Exactly. Horrible. But she fell in love with it, and it was like, this is it. This is our spot. And the other side of it is, I think the older I get, the less I want to be around all the traffic. Like, I just don't want to be around the rat race. I don't mind being a little bit off the beaten path.
Yeah, it's a great point. I'm right there with you. So, is that your location? Is it South Carolina on that lake or something similar to that?
No, we bought a lot on that lake. We just met with an architect. I think we're still about 3 to 5 years out from building. And this is my wife retiring from the military is when we'll go there. I'll never get to retire. I'll be working to the day I'm dead. But no, we just love the lake life. We want to be on a boat out, in our days off and just live the calm, relaxing life.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, that's very nice. It's a good plan to have. Work hard, and you can achieve it. And that's going to be our goal, maybe, to get down to Florida. I can't tell you how many times, Ryan, I've said I would never live in Florida. Would never move to Florida. Would never live there. No way I could handle the heat. But if we could get a place on the water, I think I could suck it up and we could pull it off after those vacations. So you're right. Your experiences sometimes definitely change your preconceived notions about something. Probably a pretty deep life lesson embedded in there, I would imagine.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's where it comes back to. There's no right answer. It's different for everyone. But I can tell you, when you really know where you're going to go and it's actually becoming a reality, it's actually pretty amazing, because then you have once again a goal to work towards. And the best hope is that you and your significant other can be on the same page, because when two people aren't on the same page, it creates a little bit of an issue from a financial standpoint and a long term of what we want in life. So communication is everything.
Great points, Ryan. Absolutely. Let's end it on that note, and also end it on the note of, let us know where you want to retire. Where is your dream retirement location? It would be fun to get a lot of your responses and maybe talk about them on a future episode. That'd be pretty cool. So, yeah, send those in to us. Ryan@FlemingFG.com is the place to email. Ryan@FlemingFG.com. Where's your dream retirement location and why? Or text Ryan, and you could do it that way. It might be easy for you as well. 843-475-3038. Let us know where your dream retirement location would be. 843-475-3038 or Ryan@FlemingFG.com is the email address. My friend, thank you for the help on today's show. This was fun, and we'll look forward to another show with you soon.
Have a good one, Walter. Take care.
You do as well. That's Ryan Fleming. I'm Walter Storholt. We'll talk to you next time on The Pilot's Advisor. You've been listening to The Pilot's Advisor, featuring Ryan Fleming, a financial advisor at Fleming Financial Group, serving clients worldwide, but based out of Charleston, South Carolina. If you have any questions for Ryan on what we've talked about on today's show, maybe a future topic idea, or want to talk more about getting a complimentary review of your financial plan, here's the best ways to get in touch. You can go online to the website, FlemingFG.com. That's FlemingFG.com. You can also email Ryan. It's simply Ryan@FlemingFG.com. Or you can call or text to get in touch. 843-475-3038 is the number. That's 843-475-3038. Thanks for listening to The Pilot's Advisor, and don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting apps. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and many more locations. So whatever app you like to use, search for The Pilot's Advisor podcast today and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.